Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Back again with Michael. We're going to be talking about, well, first let me explain to y'all this, right? You know that every, year?
Yeah.
At least a couple of times a year, is it?
Semester.
Every semester that we do this pen pal program with a college out in Utah. And what happens is they, students that are taking the class, they write Michael and myself a letter asking us questions and things like that, and we sit around and we do a podcast about that, answering those questions for the student that writes us, plus the rest of the class if anybody decides to listen to it. And both of us, we really enjoy it, and looking forward to getting into this one. We received a letter from our pen pal Natalie. Hey Natalie, what's up with you? Shout out. But before we get started, I'm going to let Michael introduce himself, and then we're going to jump right in.
Oh, for those who don't know me, I'm Michael. We've been doing this for what?
A couple of years now.
Yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I just help Joe out in his podcast every now and then. So.
Yeah, he's my co-host, y'all. He does more than that. You know, he gives me ideas. Just gave me a phenomenal idea a few minutes before we started this show. So y'all be looking forward to some of the things that we're going to be doing. I hope that he's going to be in this one. I'm not going to even give y'all a glimpse of what it is that he told me because it's so cold. I'm thinking somebody might try to steal the idea from me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to try to come first with it. But we're going to get right to it. You want to start out, Michael? You want to start out with the first question that Natalie had for us?
The first question was it was the same for both of us. Was,
okay.
She wants to be involved in criminal justice reform.
Okay.
And she says, is there anything you think someone trying to reform the prison system should know?
Well, I got a good one on there, but I'm going to let you go first. Because I got a good one.
We had this discussion before about reforming the prison system, that you have to tear it down to build it back up. I mean, is it going to take that to reform it? Because we have this thing called a strong arm. And I had my counselor was trying to give it to me. And she looked at me, she's like, you look upset. What's wrong? And I said, it's not you. It's the system. Mm-hmm. She was like, why?
Hold on just a second. Before he goes any further, let me explain to you. The strong arm is basically when we sit out in front of our counselor and they ask us a lot of questions about our crime, what we want to do in the future, family support, friends, all of these different types of things so they can get a snapshot in time of who we are, have we changed, and you know what we're doing with our lives and things like that, right? So that when we do go for parole or even file for a clemency, it'll give the people that'll be looking at that paperwork a better idea of who we are now versus who we were when we committed our crimes. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, after she asked me that, I said, it's not you, it's the system. She was like, why? I said, well, in almost 29 years, they've done nothing for me. She's like, oh, things are going to change. Things are going to change. You know how many times I've heard that in 29 years that things are going to change?
Right.
I just don't believe it. So the reason I say that is because back in like 2008, I went to take the HVAC class at another prison. Mm-hmm. They told me I had too much time at the time. But then they turned around and stuck me in CMS, which was Career Management for Success. What career am I managing if I had too much time? The HVAC I could use while I was in here. So they didn't let me in. I went and got it on my own. I tried to get a college degree. That was before the HVAC. They didn't offer anything. I did that on my own.
Right.
So now I want to get my CDL. And nobody wants to send me out there to take the program, which is available through the state.
Right.
So that's my frustration. So changing the system to me would make the system reformative instead of punitive. Of punitive. Because right now it's just punitive. So that's the change.
Disguised as.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going a little bit further than that. I think that one of the first things that needs to happen to the system, get the politics out of it. You know, depending on which party's in power, all the programs change. Somebody doesn't like the name of it, and everything changes, and we have to bounce around like ping pong balls trying to figure out what's going to work for us. When in fact that it seems like none of it works, but they tell us that it's data driven, but I've never seen any numbers that prove that taking this particular class has an effect on you when you get out and you're able to succeed based off of the things that you learn from the class and all of that kind of stuff, right?
You have to want that change, though.
Well, you got to want that change, but I'm one of those people, I'm a 50-50 type dude because, and what I mean by that is, it's 50% the individual that's incarcerated and it's 50% the system. because the system holds all the levels of power. They decide if you get to participate in this program or not. Yeah. Like us, if you got a lot of time or you got a violent charge, you can't do this, you can't do that, right? And then when you get near the end of your sentence, whether that's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, then they say everything opens up to you.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I could have wanted that change the entire time that I've been in here.
Exactly.
Right? But the system won't allow me to participate in those things. And then you go a step further, when you are allowed to participate in those things that they offer, for me, I think that the programs that they offer, you don't get to put them into practice until you get out. And that is the biggest thing for me when I want to talk about what the prison needs as far as reform and anybody who wants to get in it. The system needs to be more responsive to the individuals in it, and it needs to be an infrastructure that allows for people to participate in programs that are given by the system or start their own business like me, right? Yeah. And actually be able to do it during your incarceration. That is the key. If you allow people to, like you take HVAC, you get licensed and all this and that, you should be able to go to work out there somewhere. Come back here at night, but go to work out there so that you can earn a living, contribute to society, repay your debt. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. All of those types of things. Yeah. Contribute to the tax base if that's what you own. You know what I mean? Those types of things. And that gives a person a sense of worth. You know what I mean? Yep. In here we work, I think we do a good job. The prisons couldn't run without inmate labor. I believe that. You know what I'm saying? If you don't think I'm telling the truth, just tell every inmate they don't have to work and see how much you get done. You see what I mean? Yeah. But at the same time, we're subject to the moods of officers that might have a bad day at home and come in here and take it out on us and decide that, you know, they don't like the way we walk straight or not straight in this particular line, or your pants are not pulled up high enough and they write you up. Next thing you know, you're sitting on the bench. No job. Yeah. Doesn't have anything to do with your behavior. And then when you do act a fool, because some of us in here act a fool, you go to the hole, you get out, you start all over again. Nobody's really addressing what it is that makes people tick. I know they have some cognitive behavior type classes that are going on now, and it helps people try to slow down and think and do those types of things. But I think it needs to go a step further beyond slowing down and think about what you're doing. We need to start peeling that layer back and get into why this is happening over and over and over. It's good that you can catch yourself, but you need to figure out why you're doing it. What makes you tick when it comes to somebody treating you this way, or you seeing somebody else being mistreated, or you think they're being mistreated, and you start to act out. You know what I mean? It's a whole lot of gaps in the system when it comes to, you know, is it beneficial for us? Most of the things that I see when it comes to the talk of prison reform are things that benefit the system more so than the individuals in it. That's my take. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Anything else you want to say on that part of it?
It's a complicated thing. Yeah. But you got the right idea. You got the right idea by wanting to make things better. Because if you look at recidivism and things like that, it lets you know that something's not right with the system. Yeah. And it's a warehousing of people. Yeah. And me and a couple of my work partners were talking about that the other day, about the fact that they won't let us go to better ourselves because we're the quote unquote good inmates, and they don't want to let us go, and we're not rocking the boat. They need us here and this and that. But you don't think about our future.
You're value to the institution, but it doesn't benefit you.
It doesn't benefit us at all. We need something beneficial for us. Beneficial. Right. You know, it's not. It's the punishment is in and of itself being in prison, separated from society. You could have every luxury you wanted in prison, but still,
it wouldn't be home.
You're not home. Right. You can't get up and go where you want to when you want to. So
that's the punishment.
Yeah.
But somehow that's got lost in the sauce. The punishment is not you being separated from prison exclusively. Part of the punishment is for you to work for the prison, do what you're told, when you're told, how you're told, and don't complain about it at all.
Yeah. And that's not reformation. That's not helping somebody.
No, but somebody believes that forcing you to work that benefits the system is good for you.
Indentured servitude.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, it's weird. This is a little bit off topic. They abolished the 13th Amendment in Tennessee, right? But they made sure that the language that is part of the new law says that we still have to work though. You know what I mean? So,
Does it?
yeah. We just gonna take it out. We're not gonna say that you're slaves. We just gonna say that you're an incarcerated individual or an offender, but you still got to work against your will. You know what I'm saying? No pay.
Definition of slavery, ain't it?
No pay. Well, hey man, we're gonna use the definition of slavery, but we're not gonna call it slavery. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like they expect us not to acknowledge that kind of stuff. Just go along with it. You know what I mean? And it does something to you mentally. You know what I'm saying? When you put in work for years, you sacrifice your body. And I get it, you know, people say we're prisoners, we should have to do that, but you sacrifice the best years of earning that you have
Absolutely.
to the system. And then when it's time for you to go home, you get, what did they give you, $35, $75 or something like that? And tell you good luck.
That's it.
Something like that.
That's it. And now it's to the point that if you have a certain amount of money on your books before
You can't
go,
even get that?
you can't even get the money.
Yeah.
You can't even get the money.
Yeah. That's sad. But let's get to what's the second question that Natalie had for us?
Well, mine was, how do you feel participating in the podcast has affected you? And yours was, how do you feel creating your podcast has changed your experience?
My prison experience, I assume that she's.
I mean, it would have to be.
Yeah.
You haven't had any other experience in a while, have you?
No, not that I can remember. Well, for me, you want to go first? Or you want me to?
No, go ahead.
For me, it has given me a voice. It has given me purpose, and I can tell that it has changed my attitude about life. It makes me want to participate in it. I'm still aware of, you know, my limitations and all of that kind of stuff, but it's almost like I don't see the fence anymore. I don't see boundaries that restrict me. You know, anytime I'm faced with a situation that, you know, I have an idea for a new show or another project that I'm working on, I have to remind myself that, you know, you're still in prison, you know what I'm saying, and certain things that logistically you're not able to do, you know what I'm saying? Because I get so excited about, you know, when my son talks about, you know, let's do a movie, or let's, you know, write a script to do a movie, let's do another book or something like that. I get excited about that. And that doing this podcast has really made me believe in my sense of being worthy of participating. I can make a contribution to society that matters. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's for me. That's what doing this podcast has done for me. You know.
I guess for me, it was participating is having a voice. You know, if I have an opinion on a lot of criminal justice reforms and things that are going on. I have a lot of opinion on that, but stay tuned. We might have we're gonna have a lot more. Basically, it is the voice, because, you know, we're not heard. We're not heard at all in here. I mean, it's like this, you know, like we said earlier, come do the work, and you're gonna do this.
What you think doesn't matter. Yeah. What you feel doesn't matter. And I mean, that's hard to get people out there to understand that, because how do you tell somebody to imagine this? You know, meaning imagine that. Well, I guess you could, like, imagine that you're in a relationship with somebody, right? And no matter what suggestions you make, they say no. Even when you're dead right about whatever, something going on around the house and in your professional life or whatever, and that person says no. And then most of the time, not just saying no, they just totally ignore that you're there. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what mood they're in, sometimes people come to work here, and you might be passing by them on the sidewalk. We got to walk on opposite sides of the sidewalk. And they'll see you 10 feet, 20 feet away, and you're walking towards each other, you know, in opposite directions, coming and going. And they'll walk by you as if you didn't even matter. But if you're walking with, let's say, an officer's walking beside you, or whatever the case may be, in whatever situation, they'll acknowledge that officer, they'll speak to that officer, but they won't say one word to the inmate.
Yeah.
Not one word.
I got a perfect experience was we were walking down the sidewalk one day, and this guy was like, watch this, she won't even speak to us. I said, yeah, she will, man. He said, watch. He went across the sidewalk in front of her and said, "Good afternoon." She walked in the grass and walked around her and didn't even acknowledge that he was there.
Yeah. Man, I know one day, man, I was walking back to the unit. They had called for me for something. And it was this female, and I didn't want to be rude, but I had to hurry up and get up the hill. So I swung out in the grass, away from, it was two of them, away from them, and then come around them with plenty room without being near them, because I felt like somebody coming up behind them, they might be spooked, especially in prison.
Yeah.
I swung way out in the grass, and then I come back trying to get back on the sidewalk in front of them, and they both jumped, you know what I'm saying? And one of them had an umbrella in her hand, and she looked like I said, whoa, wait a minute. I was just trying to get by y'all real quick, right? And it's like, you know, when I got up the sidewalk and I was going in the unit, they went the other way. I'm like, what in the world would they have thought I was trying to do other than just pass by them? And that really bothered me.
But shouldn't they kind of be paranoid though?
Man, look here.
You're in a prison.
Here's my thing. You take a job in prison, right? And I get it. You should be aware of your surroundings. Keep your head on the swivel. Because don't get me wrong. I'm going to just keep it 100. You got some people in here that would try anything.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But as I'm coming up behind them, you can hear me. My feet are hitting the pavement. You can hear me talking. I'm saying, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. I'm saying it 3 or 4 times so that they'll know that somebody's coming up behind them.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And it was almost like they didn't hear me. And maybe they didn't. I give them that. Maybe they did. But it was just that reaction to me trying to pass by them and swinging way out into the grass, right?
Yeah.
And then coming back in and getting on the sidewalk, so there would be plenty. I'm glad I did it, because if I would have just walked by them real fast, I probably would have got hit in the head or something.
You got beat up, brother.
Yeah, exactly. They'd have been like, what Jonah done? Because I would have went to the hole for that. But yeah, that kind of stuff, man, is it bothers me a little bit. But doing this show really helps me deal with a lot of this stuff, because I get to talk about it. Most people don't get to talk about that kind of stuff. They have to internalize it.
It keeps you in touch with society. It keeps you in touch with humanity. Right. Because you don't, the podcast, the people that are listening to the podcast don't see a prisoner or inmate such and such, or you know. So yeah, it gives you humanity. And
exactly, and even if the people that listen to the show do first acknowledge or think of us as inmates, offenders, or whatever the case may be, as they listen to the show, I'm hoping that they start to see our humanity, like you just said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Tragic, but true. But you have anything else you want to add to it right now for Natalie or whatever?
That's good. Keep it coming.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming. You can put a few more questions on there if you want to, but it's cool if you keep it to 2. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate y'all after listening to the show. And look, hit the comment section up. Let me know what you think about the students at the college out in Utah. Let us know what you think about the the questions that we answered for Natalie. And look, stay tuned, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.